So just to take a moment and talk about some of these items that are in the assignment, differentiating and so forth. I want to give a little presentation on differentiation of instruction. And a lot of this information does come from Tomlinson's work. Carol Ann Tomlinson does a lot of work in differentiation, and you'll get a chance to watch a few videos from her in the future. But it's really about efficient teaching, this idea that you don't teach anything to any student that they already know, and don't teach anything that is too advanced to any student. So differentiation helps us to reach this goal a little bit better. You'll probably look at your class and you'll probably say, well, I'm teaching all kinds of things that students already know. At least some of the students already know these things. And I'm also probably teaching some things that are too advanced for any student. You're probably doing this at any given time because just any group of students is different from any other group of students. And different students within your classroom have different levels of knowledge and ability. So differentiated instruction is a systematic approach to planning curriculum and instruction for academically diverse learners. And student characteristics for which you might differentiate include these three, and these are in the assignment. So readiness, student's current understanding or knowledge is what this is talking about. Interest, what a student enjoys learning about, and learning profile is a student's maybe preferred mode of learning. And so these three are student characteristics, and they are the reasons why you might differentiate learning. Whether a student, probably the most common one is readiness. You think about how students understand the concept already, so you might move forward with a group, but other students may not understand that concept yet. Interest, you might also differentiate for that reason. And learning profile or preferred mode of learning is talking about whether they like things to be visual, kinesthetic, auditory, those kinds of learning profiles is what they're talking about there. But there are also classroom elements that teachers can differentiate in order to match a student's readiness, interest, or learning profile. So we can differentiate the content or what we teach. We can differentiate the process, or how students come to understand and own the knowledge. We can differentiate the product, or how a student demonstrates knowledge. And you can think about project-based learning with that one. There are different products that come out of a project-based learning experience that students create. Well, maybe you give them an option or opportunities to create different types of products based on their readiness or their interest or their learning profile. You can differentiate the affect, or how students link thought and feeling in the classroom, and differentiate the learning environment, or the way the classroom feels and functions. And a lot of times we think about flexible seating these days as kind of a popular idea, which allows some differentiation in the learning environment. I think the first three, though, are the most common, where we differentiate the content, what we teach. We differentiate maybe the process, or how students come to understand and own the knowledge, or the product, how a student demonstrates knowledge. So first off is content, and the overall goal in the classroom is to teach a certain subject. But again, what if students aren't ready for this subject, or they don't know as much as they should to get started on the subject? And so you as a teacher can become a designer of learning experiences, where you may give students multiple ways for content to be learned, or multiple different content to be learned, maybe more advanced ways for content to be learned, maybe less advanced ways, and so forth. And so if you have students who maybe aren't ready for the content you have, you could maybe provide texts and other materials that are at varied reading levels. You could think about reteaching items that need to be retaught to a smaller group of students. Teach extended content to advanced students, and that would be the opposite of reteaching items. And then demonstration of items might help, and also different media formats could be used to reach students with different content as well, and that's where technology can come in as well. You might have other materials or texts or other items that can help reteach. They can help you reteach things to students who need it, or to go more advanced for those students who are more advanced. With content as well, you can think about changing the content to base it on interest, such as using examples and illustrations that match student interests, or interest centers, where you have centers around your classroom that students can go to, and that helps to differentiate their learning. Or student questions can guide what materials you cover. So student questions might reveal a student interest, and that might go to what content you might teach. And then learning profile, you could use different media based on what students kind of enjoy as far as media goes, and applications, examples, and illustrations for multiple intelligences, and examples from both genders too. Thinking about the process, the process is how students learn the material. So it's the activity of learning. It's the process that they go through in order to learn. You can differentiate this for different students. You can have different processes for different students. And some strategies for that. Well, if students need help with readiness, for instance, you could have them do tiered activities. What tiered activities are, these are activities that you have maybe different levels of the activity. So you could have one level is the basic level where students must complete this. Maybe there's a higher level where students complete this and that. This more advanced way of going in. Maybe there's a lower one where there's just the basics. And they can do which one you tell them to or which one they want to do, depending on the level of student you have. You could have things like mini workshops from the teacher. You could provide readiness-based homework assignments. So whatever homework assignments they might have, there might be a different process that students go through to learn it based on what students you have and what they want to learn it as. And then you could vary the pacing of student work, allow some students to finish up in a longer period of time than other students. If you want to differentiate for student interest, you can differentiate a process such as doing different groups that have interest-based. One classic example is that sometimes younger students love dinosaurs, so you could have a group that does an assignment using an example of dinosaurs, and maybe another student using an example of fairies or something else like that. So you differentiate based on student interests. Jigsaw learning is another important example of this, where you have multiple students creating their different parts of the work, and then it all comes together in one nice place. Design tasks that require multiple interests as well. So again, you can design tasks that reach out to a bunch of different interests among students. To differentiate for student learning profiles, you can allow multiple options for how students express their learning and maybe seek multiple perspectives on topics and issues. And then finally, products. These are the student demonstrations of learning, whatever they have to create that shows you that they have learned. This often comes in project-based learning. And there could be many different types of outcomes from project-based learning experiences, such as exhibits, tests, essays, plays, videos, audio recording, concept map, brochure, poster, all kinds of different things that you can have as a product from project-based learning. And you can differentiate these based on readiness, interest, and learning profile as well. So if students, for instance, you could have a tiered product assignments. Tiered just basically means there are different levels of, rigor or quality in a project. And so you could have different levels of product assignments. You might have one group where you ask them to go above and beyond and do a great job with the product. You might have another one where there's just kind of the basic, and that's what you think the group can handle. Provide in-class mini workshops can help as well, as you help to differentiate and help to get students ready to complete a product. And then you could have different rubrics based on student learning needs as well. If you want to differentiate products of learning by student interest, you can encourage students to demonstrate understanding in topics of their interest. So maybe they can choose a topic, or maybe you ask them to do a topic of interest for them. An example of this is if they want to create a report on an animal, and they get to choose the type of animal that is interesting to them. And one student group gets to choose one type of animal, and another group gets to choose another type of animal, or individual students get to choose the animal that they want. That allows them to differentiate their product of learning. You can have students work with mentors and allow a wide range of media formats for students to express their knowledge, because that can increase interest as well. And then if you want to differentiate based on student learning profiles, you can provide visual, auditory, kinesthetic, analytic, creative, and practical product options. So in your assignment, you're going to have to choose, whether it's readiness, interest, or learning profile. That is the reason why you would differentiate. Most people choose readiness, but some will choose interest probably too. And then you might want to choose, again, whether it's content, process, or product that you want to differentiate for that reason. Just another note on affect and some of these, well, two more elements of differentiated learning. Students need to feel that they are a legitimate part of class, so affect is important. And being able to involve the whole class. Sometimes students who are ENL or with disabilities feel like they're on the edge of the group. And even highly able students, right? They feel like they're not maybe part of the group. You're teaching to one part of the class only if you only teach one lesson, if you don't differentiate, in other words. And so those students who may not meet that kind of feel like they're on the edge of the group. They're not part of the group. So affect is important too, and it's important to help students to feel important and part of the group and to have that empathy with the groups. And then learning environments, again, that deals with things like furniture arrangement, spaces for quiet concentration or group work, and noise level in the classroom, and so forth. So that's what that's dealing with. I think the point is that we don't want to have this or this. This is a picture of a student, of course, who is sleeping in class and he's bored. So maybe he's one of your more advanced students and you're teaching something that he already knows about. And so he's already knows that, so it's a boring experience for him. So how can we challenge this student? And then this is a student who maybe doesn't know yet what you're teaching about. Maybe he doesn't quite understand something that came before, and so they're not understanding what you're teaching now. And we don't want that feeling either in the classroom. We want to be able to somehow challenge the students at their individual levels in a good way. This is very difficult to do, I understand that. And so what we're doing now is just starting with an assignment where you take your basic lesson plan and then you think about two different students who differ from that and try to reach them. And in trying to do so, you'll have some more strategies and ideas for differentiating with technology. So just a word or two on differentiation with technology. You can use existing materials. There are lots of great materials out there that will allow you to differentiate with technology. There are plenty of videos and online lessons. Khan Academy comes to mind as one wonderful lesson opportunity for students to go and learn maybe the things that they're catching up on, or maybe something more advanced. They can go online to learn from a website, from an online lesson, from a video, from a worksheet that's online, or something that's a reading that might be on a device. So this could be existing materials that are really the way that I think most people should go when they want to help differentiate learning with technology. But the question is, of all the resources, which actual resource would work for my student? That's the trick, is picking one that's very good, that's developmentally appropriate, and that will work with my student or group of students that needs it. But you could also differentiate with items that are created by you as a teacher, and that would obviously require some technology and media skills. You could create a video or a presentation or a book or worksheet, etc. And you could present that to your students. That could be the thing that they learn from while you are working with another group in your class. So that's something that's interesting as well. You could always create something. Differentiation, though, with technology allows you to also do tiered assignment and activities. And you could do these with projects, worksheets, workshops, and a lot more. So you might have one assignment that's kind of your basic one that you do all the time. And then technology, you might add something to that. You might say, okay, well, if you finish that assignment soon or early, then you can go on the iPad and you can do this thing. You can watch this video about the same topic, or you can go more advanced. And if you need more time, maybe here's something that you can watch that will help you catch up as well. So that's just a word on technology with differentiation. But differentiated instruction is a systematic approach to planning curriculum and instruction for academically diverse learners. Good luck with the activities this week and with your assignment.